What's up, guys, and welcome to BitCast, episode 124 for the month of September 2024. I'm your host, Jake Martin, and on the mics, as always, we have my good friend, Landry Smith. What's up, dude?
Jake, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, dude. I got to tell you right now, I'm wearing my AirPods, and I just thought of this after we hit record. I'm going to go with it, but I'm used to hearing my voice.
Right.
I think there's a tiny bit of a feedback you get when you have your headphone plugged into your receiver or whatever, and I don't hear my voice. So I'm just going to rely on you to tell me if I'm talking too loud or I'm breathing into the mic, and we're just going to figure it out.
You sound good, man. You sound good.
Thanks, man.
Sound right at about normal. So
good.
If anything fluctuates, I'll let you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, so how you been, man? How's life? It's been a month once again.
Yeah, man. It's been a month. It's been great. A little busy on our end, but when is it not? I have no complaints. October is my favorite month of the year, and we're going to start that tomorrow. So, it's going to be great. It's going to be.
Dude.
You're a year older, so
exactly. 33 now, living the dream. I was going to say fall. So, have you heard this? Not you. You wouldn't have heard of this, but there's an Onion article called "Mr. Autumn Man." So, and it's making a joke about this guy that pulls out only wears cardigans, and he's just drinking his fancy coffee, and he just loves being out in fall. That's kind of me this time of year. I am Mr. Autumn Man.
That's amazing. I never have seen that, but yeah, I used to hate fall growing up. I don't know what happened, but about 10 years ago, it became my favorite season. It's just never let go.
It's so good. How do you feel about Trader Joe's? Are you a fan of that establishment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't frequent it very often because the one that we have in Chattanooga is so busy all of the time.
It's insane.
But I like going there. We have a couple things that we get there routinely whenever we're there, usually just snacks, kind of, to be honest.
Yeah, good for snacks, good for small dinners, stuff like that.
Right.
But one thing, I'll tell this story. They do such a good job of really hammering in the seasons. Okay, every time a new season rolls in, they shift all their displays, they change all of their their products and bring in new ones, and it all fits for the season that you're in. And it's just such a fun time to be there. So Hannah sent me out to go get some stuff. Well, she didn't send me. I was like, hey, can I go to Trader Joe's? While they were preoccupied with something else. She's like, yeah, just come back in 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, perfect, easy. So ran over there. And the issue of being limited with time, Landry, when you're shopping at Trader Joe's, is that you don't take as much time to make sound financial decisions. You just kind of start grabbing stuff that looks good. I'm like, I only have 30 minutes. I got to be quick here. So anything that looks
brutal.
Pumpkin themed or just fall, I just grabbed it. I just grabbed it and I threw it in the cart. So our house is stocked with just anything pumpkin you could imagine. We got pumpkin mix, we got pancakes, we got snickerdoodles, we got pumpkin Kringles.
Dude, you really thrive in this season.
We have so much. There's some normal things too. We got some lasagna, we got some pastas, we got the stir fries, we got the Asian stuff, we got the dumplings.
Yeah, they're frozen aisles on point. Yeah,
but we're packed out.
I love it. I love that for you. My wife would have a field day in your home right now. I'm not a very big pumpkin or pumpkin spice guy. I've got nothing against it. I'm not going to throw around any lame jokes about your pumpkin spice taste. But
Please do.
No, I don't have any. I mean, it's just not something I care about. But I love a good flannel. I like, a coffee on the porch as leaves are falling down. Yeah. I like to smoke a pipe maybe outside in the evening. And that's kind of my fall vibe.
That's very classy of you. That's very classy.
Yeah.
I feel you'd have a film photographer out there too, just taking a photo of you, just sitting on the porch, just
exactly
smoking your pipe.
Yeah, I keep one in my back pocket.
Yeah. Well, yes. So October is here. We have just finished the month of September. So if you are tuning in, we're not talking about Trader Joe's and the beautiful fall weather. We are talking about this topic of the show today, which is Expressive Platformers, our Game & Watch segment where we're looking at games that came out this past month, how they did, and then what's coming out in October. We have our Game of the Month Club, which is this month. It's going to be Astro Bot. Landry and I both picked it up, brand spanking new. paid a full 60 or $70 for that. Was it?
I think
How
it
much?
was 60. It was 60.
A little bit cheaper than a full price PS5 game. We got that, played that in September, loved it. And then we have Name That Game Music, everyone's hit favorite segment of BitCast. But if you are tuning in, be sure to leave reviews right into us. We'd love to hear from you. You are more than welcome to tag along as we're playing these games and send in any like thoughts you have on stuff that we're playing through, or anything else that just comes to top of mind. We'll talk about it. So, Landry, let's jump on over to the topic of the month. So I think I like this cadence we've built now, where like I'll suggest one and then you suggest one. So this is your topic of the month. I was like, man, what do you want to talk about? I don't really know if I have anything super top of mind. And you sent over this Expressive Platformers.
Yeah, so I was watching this YouTube video by Good Vibes Gaming, and they mentioned this kind of something I'd never heard of. I'm a huge 3D platformer fan. I usually think of like collectibles and objectives in those 3D platformers, and that's kind of like one of the gauges that, we think critically about these games. But they had a video on this new term, expressive platformers. I guess it was created by the developers who made Demon Turf, which I've never played actually, but it looks very good. And I guess it's a subgenre of platformer where the objective kind of takes a back seat and the collectabilities take a back seat to the flexibility of the character's moveset and how it allows you to move through the level. How you can so there may be a main path, but if you have all of these kind of moves at your disposal, you take 10 players and there might be 10 different routes that someone takes to get to the main objective. And that's kind of what makes an expressive platformer, is that you can just kind of move through the game as you please with the moveset given to you. I think the penultimate platformer in this genre would be Super Mario Odyssey. If you're familiar with that moveset, he can jump. He's got the triple jump. He's got the long jump, but he can also throw his cap and you can jump off that cap, and you can just do all kinds of long jumps, short jumps. And the game never actually wants you, or it doesn't require you to throw your cap and make that super long jump you're capable of. But with the dive that you have and the cap, you can just you could say it's breaking the game, but it's really just kind of how it's designed. You can just skip certain parts of levels, and that's kind of an expressive platformer where you can make your own creative path inside of the level.
Okay. I like this. I had never heard this term until you sent the video over. And when I first thought of this, I think one of the first games that came to mind was something like Mario Odyssey. I hadn't even watched the video yet. It could be because the thumbnail was Mario Odyssey, but I was like, if I'm thinking of a platformer that fits this definition, at the top we had a subgenre that where the objective is not the main goal sometimes, or it doesn't really matter to you, to the player, and it's the move set that allows you to jump around the level and go places that you normally shouldn't go or wouldn't go. Mario Odyssey was yep, that feels like one that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
So top of the list for me is would you, just for people to know, would you say that a platform platformers are your favorite genre, or are there others that compete for this?
I guess there's genres that compete for it. My favorite game series is The Legend of Zelda, which is not a platformer. It's more of an adventure type game, and so that's probably my second favorite. I love certain JRPGs. I love certain just adventure games, but platformers right up there with it. I would say if I had to choose a favorite genre, it would be platformers, but some of my favorite games are not in that genre.
Yeah, same. I think there's some games that I hold more dearly, but if I were to holistically look at my gaming habits and which platforms I prefer, it's probably going to be Nintendo, because they seem to have the most amount of this type of game, most amount of platformers, just because Mario exists, and at least for the last few console generations, he's kind of held the reigning champion crown of being able to do platforming well.
He's just really dominated in that space for since 1996,
Yeah,
essentially.
pretty much. Okay, so I'm in the same boat as that. So why do you like? Do you think that like expressive platformers only started really, I guess, being defined, or I guess we started seeing these more because they kind of coincided with this like open world game design that we sort of saw like in the early 2000s and beyond that?
Yeah, I think that they got really. I think everything in the 3D platformer space has been kind of mimicking Mario 64, which is an expressive platformer in its own right. And because of that, I think a lot of the move sets of a lot of these companies who have created other stuff have kind of taken that into account. You know,
Hmm.
I think it's really hard to pull off well. I think it requires, first of all, a lot of development time on getting that character movement feeling right. But then, secondly, designing a space around that, like a playground area almost for your character to kind of just play around in and have fun in, and not necessarily get from point A to point B, but rather have, you know, an open space that you can kind of, as the player, decide where to go.
Because like, yeah, if you think about that level design concept, like Nintendo's got this down after a lot of practice, and I feel like maybe potential failures in some of their earlier iterations of Mario, where maybe they wanted to try something like this, and they're like, not quite. But yeah, like Odyssey, where I say it almost encapsulates this perfectly, like where you just have this giant space. Every single level you go to is just a gigantic space, and they leave it open to you and say, just go wild, have fun with it. So like it's a true sandbox platforming experience where you are doing so much exploration through this platforming, this expressive platform that you've been giving a tool set for.
Yeah, and kind of like
And
the crowning achievement of the expressive platform genre might be New Donk City, where
mm,
you could take a lightning like electric pole like up to the top of a tower, but you can also just like wall jump across buildings. You can just make like all kinds of just acrobatic moves to get around that level, and it really becomes just this incredible vertical playground for you to toy around and experiment with your move set in that level. I don't think there's been anything I've ever played like that exactly, that's got such a verticality to it. And it becomes, if you are kind of like, whether expert's the right word or not, but if you have a few hours in Mario Odyssey and you've played a lot of platformers, that level is incredibly fun to just experiment
mhm.
in.
Well, and I think another thing that like, to the point of why I think they're so enjoyable or so fun to play is that like there's a high skill ceiling. Like you can get the basics of Mario's movement very early on, and you're like, yeah, I can make it through all these levels, no problem. Like with just the basics that they've given me. But then when you see people like speedrunners and other like pro level players running through this, you realize how much more there is to this game. You're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I didn't even realize you could do that. Like,
Right.
I think seeing the first time someone like do the full move set that allows you to like throw your hat, dive off the hat, jump up, swirl, throw it again, dive off it again. Like I was like, I didn't even know you could do that twice. I was like, I
Right.
didn't even know that
Yeah.
was even possible. So then when I tried it in game, like you realize it's not as hard as you might think it would be if you are familiar at all with platforming and Mario's movement in that game. And so then yeah, just it opened up like anything that seemed a little inaccessible in like previous worlds, I went back to, and I was like, I want to go see if I can get up on top of this now because I can do this movement.
And then you
Um,
see that they've actually like designed, there's little nooks and crannies in that
mhm.
game where like there you have to pull that jump off to even see it. And it's
It's the
very
best.
rewarding to find like piles of coins on top of like, columns that you never even knew that you could get up to.
hmm And so yeah, I love that too. The design of knowing that players, if you give them room and the ability to get somewhere, like rewarding them just a little bit for that. Astro Bot, we'll talk about this in a little bit, actually did
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good job of this as well. There were a lot of like levels where there'd be something pretty far removed from the main platforming area, and I was just like, I was like, I'm pretty certain I can get over there. Like that just seems too close to not be able to reach. And like, sure enough, you get an ability or something else that gives you just enough room to get to that platform, and if you do, they reward you with like a little hidden coin. Like it's not obvious that you're supposed to get there, but if you land where like the top of that, you know, building or inflatable out in the middle of nowhere, a giant coin pops up, and you're like, oh, they thought of that.
Yeah, it's so good to play one of these that's not designed by Nintendo and so interesting. I would like there are games like Super Mario Galaxy and Astro Bot that are expressive platformers, but they're like it's like on the lighter end of an expressive platformer, you know, because there's not like that many ways you can break the boundaries of what the level is in Astro Bot. It is actually like I would say a very point A to point B platformer for the most part. And that's not a bad thing. But there are, like you said, there are moments in that game where you can just see something off in the distance. You're like, how could I possibly get that? And that's where you can kind of use all of the tools that you have at your disposal. And Galaxy's like that as well. It's not one of those Mario games where you can just, you know, make these super crazy jumps. You have a very confined and honestly slow move set in that game, which makes it a little less fun to go back to sometimes, but it's still got the same thing where there's moments where it demands a little more of you.
Yeah, movement is so important. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just going to say it actually never demands that of you in the base game, but this is all like extracurricular stuff, you know, that's what all of these games are so good at.
I was going to say movement is so like it has to also feel good to move in the way that like they give you some expressive platforming. So they were giving other examples in this video of like Sonic and Crash Bandicoot, and I've never really liked how like Crash is probably the most limited example I think that he gave. That's like the one he started with, but like I've never liked how Crash felt.
Same.
And I just felt very contained and slow.
I grew up with those games, and I played all three of them as a kid, and I loved them as a kid. But even the remasters, they came out, and I've just never been able to get past like World 2 or so. And I can't remember exactly. I think you might have used Crash as an example of it not being an expressive platformer because you are confined to a space. But then, like in 2 and 3, you have a little more like a slide jump and everything. But they're more restrictive for sure. They're probably still on the lighter side of expressive, where you can do like a spin jump and get a little more space. But there's less creativity in those games. And again, a point A to point B platformer is not a bad thing. But I will say that Crash definitely shows its PS1 age in the end that everything feels a little stiff and a little rigid. And the hitboxes for enemies, man, they're just like, they're so brutal in that game.
Yeah, the game is more hard than it needs to be.
Yes.
So why do you think they're so rare? Like, why do we get so few of these games every year? And like, what's holding them back from
this is what I wanted to talk to you about. Really was like, I think about all the JRPGs that are greenlit constantly, and that is a genre that has a very niche following. And, you know, people who love JRPGs. You know, they're there for almost all of them, I feel like. But those are like 100-hour games, and they're games that I think you can produce on like a B or C budget, you know, relatively low cost. I feel like platformers, and I could be wrong about this, but from what I gather, Astro Bot took, if you just think about Astro's Playroom, that was developed in 2020? That's when that launched.
Yep.
So 4-year dev time for a game that comes out to like a 95 on Metacritic and is just everyone's singing its praises, the talk of the town for a month. It's selling very well. The budget on that cannot be astronomical like these 400 million, 500 million.
Astronomical.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Yeah, these just like hundreds of $1 million budget games. And yeah, maybe it's $100 million budget game, but like that seems like a risk worth taking for the age of video games we're in by like these major publishers. Like I think that publishers are sleeping on how big this genre can be for two reasons. First of all, you have your main sale of like whatever you're going to sell on that moment in that year to get your company in the black. But I think these games have long tails with families. I think that they also bring in a new generation of player. And like Microsoft, I think you just think about Banjo-Kazooie, them having that platform. Like, I think that's a huge miss for them. If they just put a little time and effort into creating something, like Sony has never let Ratchet and Clank go. That is a really good franchise. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that maybe people sleep on Ratchet and Clank a little bit is like every game in that series is like in the 80s on Metacritic. They've never really had like their moment in the 90s, but it's so consistent. I've been playing those games since the PS2. And the one thing I'll say about it is like, I can't really remember one particular game. I just know I love the series. And every time I play a new one, I'm just like, yeah, it's just like the last one, but it was still awesome.
Still fun. You know, still pretty good.
Those types of games that are family friendly can hook kids in and bring them to your platform. And Nintendo does such a good job of this. That's kind of their brand, right? But I think that PlayStation is really smart to get on this Astro Bot like bandwagon, because like my son, he's 4 years old. He is obsessed with this game, like absolutely obsessed, and in like the best way possible. And like I'm seeing him experience this in like these new ways and like seeing things for the first time. And it's really cool. It's making me almost experience the game through like this childlike wonder. And there's just so much joy in the game. And I don't know. I think if games put more effort into creativity and fun rather than making like something that we've kind of complained about a little bit is like the next real experience, you know, like who can be the most real, or like who can have the graphics that look the most lifelike. It's like, just pour a little into your art department and make something like off the wall crazy like Astro Bot. And that's just a lot of fun. It's refreshing.
It is. And to your point about like, you know, I think the biggest hurdle is like as to why they're not. You mentioned this a little bit, but like Nintendo kind of holds this space. I think that could be the main reason why we don't see as many, is because like people are just like, I can't compete. They're like, I know that if I'm going to release a platformer, it's going to be immediately compared to Mario, and so we all know Mario's king. Like we all know Mario's king, and we're not going to be able to pull them away from this.
Those games are just like mediocre, or you know, just kind of good. Like every time one comes out,
the pinnacle of what they should be.
Once every 6 to 5 years, it is literally like, oh my gosh, it wows us because it's so creative. Yeah, and I think you're exactly right.
It's been 7 years. October 2017 was when Odyssey came out.
Yeah, you know they're cooking up something special.
Oh man, I
think you're right, man.
Like they've got to be afraid.
Yeah. That's what they're going to be compared to. Astro Bot just so happened to meet that expectation in a lot of people's opinion.
I remember texting you guys in our Nintendo Bros chat, but I was just like, I cannot believe Nintendo didn't make this game. Like I was like, how did they not make this game? Because of all their IP, like they could do like a generic platformer, but I guess they don't want to take away from their Mario share. But I think
they got Smash Brothers. But oh man, it'd be so cool.
I think it's the fear of failure, and I think it's a little bit like it is hard to do. Like I would imagine it's harder to develop for than I imagine than I think. Like being able to give the main protagonist enough charm or character for people to want to play it, and then every single world has to be this sense of like fun, joyous discovery. And it's like, well, how do you do that? And make that engaging long enough for people to want to do it. You know, because people care about Mario because it's Mario, but they also really just care about Mario because all of the worlds inhabit what we just talked about. Like they're joyous, exuding life. They're fun. They're colorful. There's always like,
you never know what to expect. There's something around every corner that's like, oh my gosh, that was just like, I never would have thought of that, you know? And that's one thing that Astro Bot has, I think, is there's a lot of wow, I never would have seen them doing that moments in the game. And there is a lot of like, oh, I recognize that from Mario Galaxy, or I recognize that from 3D World. But it's just done in a way that's so wonderful. You know, they take those mechanics to a different place, you know?
So closing this out on Expressive Platformers, what do you have any other like examples of like some that you are a fan of that you would say fit in this category?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do. There are, for me, you know, it's hard not to mention the Mario games. I'll just give you a quick top 5 off the top of my head.
Oh,
I'm already willing to put Astro Bot in there. In fact, I'm not even going to put him at number 5. But at number 5, I'll probably put Super Mario Sunshine. I think it's the much maligned version of Mario. But for me, it hits. I like the little flood pack that you get. I think that creates for a lot of fun, different scenarios. Yes. There's this move that you can do where you can like spray water on the ground and then belly slide into it, like slip and slide.
So
and
cool.
That can create a lot of really fun just moments in that game. And it is a game that also gives you like a huge open hub world to kind of explore and practice your moves. And I really think that game is why I got really good at Mario games. Just that open hub world where you could just kind of like practice the controls. Yeah. Number 4, good. I'm going to go with Astro Bot. That game's incredible. Number 3, Super Mario 64. Number 2, Banjo-Kazooie. And number 1, The King, Super Mario Odyssey.
I love that. I'm going to just throw some other ones in here that I'm thinking of. Spyro. I don't know if you ever tried breaking that game, but they give you like some pretty crazy movesets where you can like glide, and some of the levels encourage you and like show you like how far you can actually travel with some of the mechanics that you're given. So you can like jump, you can like dash, then jump up and then glide, and you can like go across like the whole map. Thought that was kind of cool.
I played that on the remastered. I've only played the first one though.
Yeah, the first one's great.
2 and 3 good as well.
2 and 3 I haven't played either actually. So right there with you. First one's the only one I've played. Sorry, everyone else out there. I know Psychonauts 2 gets a lot of love. But yeah, I think you mentioned Ratchet and Clank. That's what I was thinking of. Do the Jak and Daxter games, do you feel like they have anything going for them, or do you think those are kind of restricted, not as expressive?
I would say like number 6 for me would be Jak and Daxter.
Okay.
And the Precursor Legacy. I love that game.
Precursor's Legacy.
Dude, so
comes up every time.
Incredible. I do not like Jak 2 and Jak 3 at all. They're much more like Naughty Dog. You could tell is tired of the platform genre. It almost seems like PlayStation was like, you have to create another Jak game because the first one's successful. And so basically what happens is like they get pulled into another, I think it's been a while, but I think they get pulled into another world, and Jak like basically is in prison for 10 years, and he wakes up and he's just like this angsty badass all of a sudden who like wields guns, and it's just a Grand Theft Auto 3 clone, but in the Jak world. And that's much more like vehicles and gun combat, but it's like it plays kind of like Grand Theft Auto 3 did on the PlayStation 2, which is basically like back then it was cool and it got great scores. It just it does not hold up at all.
But now it's not great.
The first one though, great open world 3D platformer. It's on PlayStation Premium. It's the only time I ever paid for premium. I just paid like basically the $20 to go and get the platinum on that game and replay it. And it was still awesome. I love it. It's a really
totally worth it. Okay.
Moveset feels clunky at first, but then you realize everything's designed perfectly around it. So it feels like a PS2 game. You're like, man, I wish he moved a little faster. I wish he rolled a little farther. I wish he jumped a little farther. But all of the levels take that into account, and you can push everything a little bit.
Gosh, there were
like
so many
jump and a spin.
There were so many similar games on like PS2. Like you had Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, and I feel like I'm forgetting one more.
I think Jak 1 is the best of all of those games personally.
Yeah.
And I played all of those growing up. I just think that it's Naughty Dog, so it's got character and everything like that.
All right, well, let's jump on over then, Landry, to Game & Watch. So yeah, we're taking a look at what came out this month and what is coming out next month. So Landry, why don't you run us down with this month's report card?
The report card reads as follows. Astro Bot came out on PS5 and it got a 95 on Metacritic or OpenCritic. What are we looking at here?
This is Metacritic, I believe. Actually, no, this is OpenCritic.
Open Critic, awesome, which coincides with our fantasy league. And I was smart enough to pick up that one. So
You monster.
That feels good. The Plucky Squire got an 83. That's basically on everything you can imagine. UFO 50 came out of absolutely nowhere, and I can't wait to play this game. But it got a 90, and it's on PC. That game looks super cool. If you've never heard of it, it's basically like, imagine like a fictional video game developer has been creating games from like the Atari era or early arcade of the 1980s all the way up to like the Super Nintendo era. And it's just 50 games, and it's all from this fictional video game developer. And they just kind of go, from the 80s all the way up to the 90s. And it just looks so freaking cool.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok, PC. Probably a lot of us have played that game. It is really, really incredible for the first 10 to 15 hours, and then wears a little thin, in my opinion, but it got a 93.
Good port. Good port.
I actually heard that you can turn off, is it Atreus? Is that his name? You can turn off like how annoying he is by solving all the puzzles for you by just saying like, "Hey, Dad, throw that axe on that thing over there." Like, you can turn that off, which is pretty cool.
What's that over there?
Only on the PC version. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions. I was really excited about this because I'm a nerd, and that game sucks. It got a 66.
Okay, sucks is a strong word.
Well, it's not.
It's not great though.
Yeah. Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed got a 78. I played the demo for this, and I played the Wii game back in the day. The Wii game was really good, but the controls were awful because it had the Wiimote, and that was really held it back, in my opinion. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm probably going to pick it up at some point. 78 is a little lower than I expected it to score.
A little low.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be a good game. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom got an 86, which is probably the lowest I've seen for a Zelda game in recent memory, but I'm playing that one right now. I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 3 hours into that game, and it is really, really good. It's got a great first couple of hours. A little talky in the beginning, but I've heard that it gets over that after the first couple. You got the exposition of all the story and everything, but the gameplay moments, like just the moment-to-moment gameplay, is really smooth and wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first Zelda game where I've waited to even buy. Like, I usually get them all day one, and I was like, I think this is one that I can wait on. I'm not like, I can't not wait. Like, I don't think, even if spoilers are out there, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the story's doing anything for me at all. But you know what a Zelda game is to me is like not necessarily a story. It's just about being in whatever kind of Hyrule they've created. And
low rule, high rule.
This one's fun. It's
yeah.
I don't think it's going to hit the heights of some of my favorite Zeldas, but so far it's hitting every Zelda vibe that I need. So nice.
Yeah, it's one that I'll probably end up picking up. It won't be on sale, so I can't say when it. Well,
I got the physical, dude. So I'll let you borrow it. Maybe we can make a Paper Mario Thousand Year Door trade for Echoes of Wisdom.
I think I have that physical. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, that'll work.
Cool.
I've been crushing through that lately. I'm almost done. Yeah,
I see you on it every once in a while.
Astro Bot, I think, is my standout this month. I mean, we both played it, we loved it, but overall, I feel like September was a pretty good month. I really am interested in the Plucky Squire as well. I want to play that. Rebrushed looked like it was pretty solid. There were some other games I took off this list that came out that were like reviewing pretty well. I think Warhammer actually really surprised a lot of people. People liked it a lot.
Nowhere.
Mm-hmm. So I think this was like a pretty strong month, and at least compared to last month, it feels like we have more hitters than August. But yeah, UFO 50 I'm really excited about too. And I didn't realize that was PC only. So
I know, man. So I'm just
Steam Deck.
I'm up a creek with that one. Can't wait until it comes to something reasonable for tasteful people.
For tasteful people. Wow, that hurts. All right, let's hop over to next month then. So next month we have the Diablo 4 DLC Vessel of Hatred, pretty much releasing on all current gen consoles and previous PS4 and Xbox One.
Gnarly name.
It's crazy. Vessel of Hatred. That comes out October 8th. We got the Silent Hill 2 remake coming out on PC and PS5 October 8th.
I'm interested in that one.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, sparking with the exclamation point and then zero after that. PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, October 11th. We got Metaphor Refantasio. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's another weird name. That's by the Persona 5 folks. So
Atlas. This looks really good. I am curious about that one. That comes out on all current gen consoles and PS4. That's a weird list, actually. PC, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Whoa, not Series S. What's going on there? October 11th. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Excited about that. Comes out on Switch, obviously, October 17th. Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven. I know Matthew in our Nintendo Bros chat's very excited about this. PC, PS4, PS5, Switch on the 24th. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Blops, comes out again. Here we go. Pretty much everything. And that's on the 25th, except for Switch. And then Dragon Age The Veilguard on the 31st. And that comes out on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X.
That
so only current gen consoles.
Has me really intrigued. I think the art style is awesome.
I think so too.
Really happy with the way they went, or the direction they went with that.
It looks neat. The only thing that concerns me is that it's going to play a lot like a turn-based, like D&D kind of Baldur's Gate situation, where like there's a lot more of that. But some of the developers have been saying that it is more action forward than some previous titles.
The old Dragon Age games weren't they? I can't remember exactly. I played one of them for a little bit.
Inquisition was more action forward.
I disliked those games pretty much a lot.
Yeah. I'm into the setting, into the art style. I'm curious about that. And then other standout for me would probably just be Mario Party, because, you know, they're always fun and they seem to like really be hammering this one home, like trying to do the most with this Mario Party game. So I hope that it reviews well.
I picked up Superstars, and I've only played it once because it's hard to play Mario Party just because it's hard to get people together.
And playing online is not the same.
Yeah, it's not. But it is really fun. But I can't imagine I'll pick this one up because I have only played Superstars once. So I'm like, man, next time I get everyone together, I'll just play Superstars and try to play that the second time, hopefully.
Play that the second time. Yeah, like I think Mario Party is at its best when you're with a bunch of friends and you have the time to be able to just sit down and play a hour and a half, 2 hour long virtual board game with them.
I feel like Mario Party will hit for me when people in my family, like my boys, are a little older, and we can have like a family night, game night, that kind of thing. Otherwise, if that doesn't happen, then it's just like never gonna be for me, and that's okay.
Yeah, those games will be perfect for that, and I think that'll be a ton of fun because they're easy to pick up. Like a lot of the mini games are pretty straightforward, so I think from a younger age standpoint,
use the joystick. Yeah,
it's like you just jump or you hit this button as fast as you can and hope that you do it the best. So that's always good. Anything standing out for you, Landry? Any games on here?
I mean, just to be 100% honest, there's nothing here that I'm going to pick up, but I will hope to play Silent Hill 2 at some point in the future. I want to play the original Silent Hill 2 really bad, just because it's like on a lot of greatest of lists and everything. It's just not very readily available. So maybe if the remake kind of hits all those same notes, I will play that at some point. The only problem with Silent Hill 2 remake is like the PS1 graphics kind of make the terrifyingness of Silent Hill 2 manageable for me. And like all that realism with this. Yeah, dude, like I don't know if I could handle that. So, and I'm not like ultra baby when it comes to horror stuff. Like I love horror movies. I really do. However, I like horror movies the second time I've watched them, if that makes any sense. Like I hate the anticipation of not knowing what's going to happen in a horror movie is so terrifying for me. I'm like on the edge of my seat. Sometimes if I'm watching something like The Witch, for instance, one of my favorite movies ever made, it took me probably 7 sessions of viewing that movie in like 15-minute increments because I got so scared every time I had to turn it off. And
nothing like really scary happens in that movie until like the very end.
Since then, I've watched it again.
Stressed out the whole time.
I just really love like the way it's directed, and that's my favorite type of horror, I would say, like those thriller-ish ones. But
that movie was creepy. It was good, but it was creepy.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a big baby too. So it's great that we chose an unnamed game for this month's game of the month. It's going to be horrible.
Well, I played the original one on that one, so we will see.
So the scares may not be as bad.
I love that game.
We'll see.
That game.
All right.
So we'll see.
So guys, let's jump over then to the game of the month. All right. So for those who are not aware, each month Landry and I pick a game. We play through it, and then we talk about it on the podcast. And we like this because a month gives us enough time to very busy individuals that actually gives us time to sit down and play it and enjoy them and not like rush through it. So for the month of September, we chose Astro Bot, like we talked about at the top of the show. And we usually go through our highs, lows, and try to score it out of 10 at the end. So Landry, why don't you go ahead and start us out with some highs?
Dude, this game, we already talked about, like, just the joy of it, but the visual, the audio, and the input design, which somehow, like, in the reviews, I feel like it's fallen to the wayside, but they all mesh towards one goal, and that's fun. But I want to talk about the input design on the controller. I don't think there's been any game I've ever played outside of, like, the Wii. So in the past, 13 years, where the controller is such a highlight and all the inputs just kind of really focus on what the controller is. But the only difference between the Wii and this is that this is actually fun and the controller doesn't suck. And it's incredible, dude. Like, I love playing with the PS5 controller when I'm playing Astro Bot. Everything about it works so well. The audio, the music is, like, I'm not going to sing its praises. Like, I've heard some people go a little too far and just say it's, like, incredible. There are a couple songs that hit for me. Like, the main theme, I think, is really fun. But it does its job of just, making sure that everybody knows, like, we're here to have one thing, and that's fun. The visual design with all of the particle effects and all of the, like, every single level, it feels like has just, like, a million little things, like whether it's leaves or like these Dippin' Dot ice cream balls, candies, or sprinkles, or apples, or like the Wampa fruits. Dude,
yeah, every single level, they're like, "Go ahead, I dare you to walk through this giant pit of fun," and then you're like, I gotta do my spin attack to see what happens. And then you just flick them all off the stage. And you're like, that was pretty fun.
And this game really is like a technical marvel. Like, there's not a single moment for me. You said you had a couple crashes. I never had one. I never had. It seems like, no, I'm not running a frame rate thing, and I'm also not very akin to frame rate drops, but I never once noticed anything. Like, it is just running like buttery smooth, and there are always a million little things on the screen. It's just incredible. So that's the first thing I'll celebrate about this game.
All right, I like that. First thing I'll celebrate is digestible and concise level design with, like, very cleverly hidden secrets. You talked about this earlier when we were talking about, I'm blanking on the term right now.
Effective or
expressive platformers.
Yeah.
Thank you. This game, the levels are very concise, linear. They move you through in a way that makes sense, and you don't have to go too far off the beaten path to find the hidden collectibles that you need for each level to get the golden flag you want to plant. I went for a 100% run, so I got everything in the game, and I really appreciated how, like, it almost, like, you would just naturally know where things are if you just were a little bit curious. It wasn't like these obscenely hidden things like, oh my gosh, like, I would never have found this. Like, why is this over here? Like, almost everything was clear. And I love that design where it's like, okay, for those who are, like, wanting to go the extra mile, you can do that. And it's not going to cost you too much time and effort to do this. And then if you do miss something in a level and you're like, crap, I got to go back and find that, they gave you the option to pay for a little bird that just follows you around the level and then beeps when you get close to one of the hidden collectibles. And I was like, that's genius. This is perfect. Like, this is so well thought out, and I really appreciate this.
Love that. Yeah, that little bird is super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also think like kind of going into with the collectabilities and like the 100% run, it just has the perfect difficulty curve. Like it is a game that my 4-year-old can play through about 50% of without even passing the controller to me. And then I can go back through and pick up all the collectibles he missed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, this is something that I never thought of until I had a kid playing games, but it does a really good job of, you have camera mobility, but if you're a small child and you don't really know how to use that camera stick, the way the camera kind of automatically follows Astro Bot through most of the levels, you don't have to move it very much. And and he never moves the camera, and it still plays really well. And I move the camera kind of like a crazy person looking for all the collectibles, and you can do it that way as well. So it's just got a really good difficulty curve design. Mario games do that too. That's another thing I never really noticed about Mario is if you're not using the camera controls in the 3D games, it has a really good fixed camera for the most part. But yeah, difficulty curve is just really on point.
That was one of mine too. I said challenge levels like push back just enough, and like 100% completion was achievable and enjoyable all the way through. Like, yeah, it was just difficult enough. I would say even easy in some areas. Like the boss battles are all very telegraphed and pretty straightforward, but there's like some challenging ones, like the genie in particular. I think I died a few times on him.
Dude, I don't even care that the boss battles are not that hard. They're just so freaking fun. Like
I thought
they were so cool. Like each phase was so unique and different of each boss battle. But yeah, none of them gave me a challenge. And I've played the squares and the triangles. I don't know what the hardest ones are, but I ran through all of those. The squares I maybe had to play a few times each, but I got through all of them and no problem. I can't wait to play the circles and the X's. I imagine they're there somewhere. But
the as you go along, there's one that's like one section that's really hard, and then the other one's easy after that. But then
the really hard one,
the final one's tough.
Oh, I'm sure the final one's tough. The really hard one for me so far has been, there's one where you have to get a rubber or like the ducky with the water and like spray it over the lava.
Dude,
that level kind of sucked. Just because I couldn't get the freaking duck to like make the platforms correctly. But once I did that, it was no problem.
They almost want you to walk, so that way like the water forms, it crusts over before.
It's exactly. You kind of have to walk fast. It's like a fast walk, and they like, just in any platformer where I don't get to run, or that jump. Puts me at my worst. If
you jump, you'll just jump in the lava, and you're like, okay, I just died. Yeah, I did that so many times in that level. I also think the themed levels were like amazing.
Dude, so
again.
Cool.
Didn't even that totally caught me off guard. Didn't know that was even a thing. And then all of a sudden, the first world you're in, you save, I think, the main character from Ape Escape, and then another world appears after you beat the main boss in that world, and then you go play that level, and it's just Ape Escape. Like they just toss you the net. And then you just go catch the apes. And I was like, this is so cool.
That was awesome. I never knew that was going to happen either. And the first time like I got that Ape Escape level, I was like, dude, what? That is just like the cherry on top of the cake that has been this game in the first world so far, where I was literally just kind of like, I was like, oh my gosh, they did it. They made a platformer that's like in that same league as a Mario game. And then you get hit with the Ape Escape level and you're like, dude, this is an awesome idea. And then, of course, that makes you so excited to see what the next games are. And I still haven't gotten to the last game. By the way, I've played this probably more hours than you. I'm not 100% sure. I've got like 25 hours into this game. But like I said, I'm playing it with Sawyer. So we have his record.
Enjoying your time.
We have his record where, we're kind of moseying through. And then I have a record that I play by myself where like I have 100% of the first 4 worlds. And then he wanted to start the other day a third record where he wants to try and 100% of the worlds like I have. So I played the first like 2 worlds like 3 times. And I've played up to the fourth world twice, so that's where I'm at with this game right
awesome.
now.
I mean, it's that good. I mean, when you and I were just talking about the Ape Escape and like the surprise, like you and I were both just smiling on camera at that point. And like that's the exact same face that I had when I played that level. I was smiling. Like that doesn't happen very often, but I was like, this is cool. I was like, this is neat. And again, like they tie in the haptics and the controller and the resistant. I forget what they even call the triggers.
Adaptive triggers.
Right? Thank you. Like those all combined to make swinging the net feel cool. In the second level, I believe it was God of War. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And like even that had no business being that good either. I was like, God of War. Like I'm not too excited to play as Kratos right now.
Dude, I don't know why, but like the farther I get away from God of War, the more I just like don't have any positive feelings about that game at all. I don't know why.
I think it's great. I think it's really good. I think if we went back and played it again, I'd be like, yeah, this is a good game. But maybe. I think it's just because it's been their like tent pole, like look how good we are franchise. But like, the throwing the axe, freezing stuff, bringing it back to you, like that's the main mechanic in the actual God of War game, and the fact that they replicated that so well in Astro Bot, I was like, this is great. Yeah, just throwing the axe. So I think those theme levels are great, and then I don't know, this just all of it's just a lot of fun. I like the hub world of being able to go back and level your PS5 up, and how you always fly into the levels and like you can steer your ship a little bit. Like Henry loves those parts. He's not old enough to play the actual levels yet, but whenever we'd fly in, I'm giving my controller, and he would land us.
And those levels honestly probably wouldn't be that fun, but just giving you about 5 to 10 seconds of flying in is a joy. That's really fun. Like, that's all you need of those. I think I talked to you about, like, I was like, man, is this going to be like a Star Fox platformer, like hybrid? How cool would that be? Probably wouldn't have been that cool, but it's cool that they have those levels for just a minute. One more thing that I think really, other than the boss fights, I want to just re-highlight how cool those are. The power-ups in this game are just so fun, and they're varied, and they're never overused. They're probably 2 or 3 levels that you get to use each of these power-ups, but they all feel really unique in the game, right? Like almost all of them, you could point to another platformer or another Mario and be like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. But they're using them with fun level design concepts.
They're all definitely unique, though. Like, I think, the most close comparison from like Nintendo standpoint is the spring arm ones for like, the game arms. I was like, I could see that being an easy comparison to make. But then like the elephant that you fill up, and then you like can put platforms underneath yourself if you want to.
That's Cloud Mario from Mario Galaxy, basically.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, all right, I take it back. Just straight up copying Mario in all the best ways, making it work. But yeah, every time I got to a level that actually had a fun power up, I was like, yes.
It's so cool.
I got a little tired of the dog one. That's just like the boost, like the jump and dash.
Oh, really?
And then the chicken is the same, it's just the same thing, but it's vertical. So it's like horizontal mobility, vertical mobility. You're like, okay, I'm going up or I'm going forward. But they all they all incorporated fun elements to make that movement and power up not feel boring. Like the dog, they gave you those trampolines that would like jet you up to the top of the map.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. And they do a great job of like, with the dog, you get to smash through a lot of stuff. And I'm a simple man, but that's fun.
That's fun. Yeah, just breaking things. And I love, like, again, just the rewarding of like curiosity. Like, if there should be some snow levels you've already done, but like just you see a platform, and as you're moving Astro Bot through the little platform with snow on it, like you'll notice the snow starts clearing out. And you're like, well, I got to get all this snow off this platform now. I got to see what's underneath this, So you spend like 5 minutes just cleaning the platform off, and usually nothing's underneath there. But every now and then there actually is like a reward. It's like, oh, you did that. Here's a hidden secret. And you're like, yes. I love that stuff.
Clearing snow in that game is very fun.
Everything in this game is just satisfying. I loved all the ghost levels too. I thought those were like really fun and very festive.
Yep. They are
hidden platforms with a light bulb. So
very cool.
All in all, very good. only lows that I put down here were, I had one or two crashes. I do not like the hidden world mechanic where you'll be playing through a level and you know there's a hidden world in there and you find it, and either you haven't found all the other hidden Astro Bots, or you have found them all. And if you go to that world, it just takes you to the hidden world immediately. It's not like, hey, you unlocked it. Like, no, you have to stand on this platform and leave this world to go to the new one if you want to actually unlock it. And so what stinks is like you lose sometimes the cool themed ending of that level you were on, which they do a great job of as well, like making this fun exit every single time. Like you get in, you discover what's going on, and then you have this really cool giant like battle or climactic ending where you beat something or platform or slide all the way down and you make it. And when you pop out of a level and you've completed it and you're like, well, that I kind of missed the fun of that last part.
Right.
It just felt like at conflict with the rest of the game. And I think I said the weight superpower or power up is boring. I didn't think that was very fun. Just
the
like
weight one.
You just turn into like a heavy ball.
Oh yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like it's okay. Like,
yeah, well,
the most you can do is pop into a cannon and get blasted across the map and then not get smashed. So I was like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's few and far between, but yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There might be a couple that aren't as fun as the others, but
the shrinking power up, that level was cool. I loved that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was super cool. That was a great level.
You don't do that again.
Yeah, I haven't seen another one either. Or like the one where you grow really big with the sponge water.
The sponge, I love that too.
That was super cool and very fun. I love also that you can kind of like squeeze the water out of you. That had some cool
satisfying
that level.
Just
I was trying to think of lows for this game, and I just honestly I don't really have any. Like, I'm not saying this game's perfect, but it's just very well executed. And I don't necessarily, I'm not trying to like put on my super critical hat here and just like come up with some reason there's something I don't like about this game. For me, it just hits on every note. It's a super special game. I think only one of these every year or even every 2 or 3 years comes out. And this one to me is just like a easy 10 out of 10 masterpiece, in my opinion. I have no problem recommending it to almost anybody. Even if you're not a fan of this genre, I think it's fun. And if obviously if you just don't like platformers and you don't like, these kinds of kiddie games or family friendly games, that's not what you're in the mood for, then this is probably not going to hit for you. But I think at some phase in your life, it will.
Yeah.
And if you have kids that can play games, like this is one of the ones to get.
I think I'm right there with you. I'd be at a 9 or a 10 for this. Like, masterpiece probably would make sense just because it is like there's no fault with it, and it is like the pinnacle of like what the PS5 is capable of still. Like, it's still the best example of like, hey, this is what the PS5 can do. Play this game, like play the first level and just see how cool this is. Like, someone could be like, whoa, this is awesome. Like, it looks really cool. Like, I love the way the controller does this stuff. Like, triggers are like awesome.
Get to get on a water slide.
Yeah, it's like only like this is the only game on the PS5 that actually uses this, but it's great. So yeah, great game. Really enjoyed that. And now I'm announcing our October game of the month since it is spooky season.
Dude, we're going such in a different direction. I love it.
Oh, a terrible direction. I'm nervous about this, but excited.
This game is terrifying. I'm just warning you, Jake.
So it just got announced
Henry
that
anywhere near you while you're playing this game.
Exactly, only at nighttime, which is when I don't want to be playing a scary game either. So this is going to be bad.
Headphones in, lights out.
No. So bad. Yeah. So we're playing Dead Space, the new remaster or remake that came out not too long ago, and they just announced the October
last year
PS Plus games for the month, and this is on there. So I was like, all right. Let's freaking go.
Fire it up. Yeah, dude, I'm excited.
I've never played it.
I really liked this game on PS3. It was like if I was making a PS3 top 10, it would be on there. I haven't played it since it came out, and it's been probably 15 years. So excited to give it another spin.
I always like the art. I've always liked the gun the guy has. And I've kind of always mixed it up or equated it to or compared it to BioShock a little bit.
Interesting.
Just with this.
Have you played BioShock?
Yes. And they're very different games. I know one's this is more of survival horror. You're on a ship and there's a lot of scary things trying to kill you. BioShock's a little more open and adventurous, but still scary. This game, I just think it kind of has similar times.
A Metroid vibe, but just ratcheted up to terrifying.
Great. Can't wait. Love that. So fun.
But again, I mean, I'm coming, some people are probably this is not scary. What are you talking about? That is from somebody who gets scared pretty easy. And I'm just trying to set your expectations. It's going to be, what you should do is you should play this on a small screen, put a nice, pleasant, happy movie on, turn all the lights on, and then just play with very, very low volume. But I will say the sound design, from what I remember, is really great. Very squelchy sounds in this one.
Oh, squelchy. Good. Great. Cannot wait. This is going to be so bad, dude. We
can bail. We can go a different direction if you want.
No, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good spooky time game. I'm just going to play during the day, and we're going to be great. We're going to have lots of fun, and everyone's going to have a good time.
I'm pretty sure it's short, from what I remember.
That's my hope. That is also my hope. So, double checking that now for us.
Thanks. Me too.
Yeah, you can look it up really quick. Actually, I'm doing
12 to 16 hours.
12 to 16 hours. Okay, that's not bad. I can handle that.
Yeah,
I can handle that. All right. Well, with that being said, Landry, should we jump over to Name That Game Music?
Let's do it.
All right, so for those tuning in, Landry and I have this segment called Name That Game Music. It's been revised many times, but the current iteration has us picking 2 songs each for the other person to guess. And if we don't know on the initial listen, we can ask for hints. 3 total that deduct 5 points from a total of 20. So there's genre, console, and then the first initial. And then that's it. So last time, Landry, I think, came out ahead. I totally botched it. But this month, I'm feeling good. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully he didn't drop any just absolute, just devious songs in here.
Both of these are mainstream titles that you have either played or have familiarity with.
Mainstream titles. Okay. Well, are you ready, Landry, for this first one?
Let's do it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. You devil.
You devil.
Okay. I think I have the right game, and I think I have the right series. I'll ask you a couple of questions. Is it Legend of Zelda?
Yes.
Is it Twilight Princess?
Yes.
This is where I'm getting a little mixed up after this point. I think it's is it a dungeon music?
I actually can't fully answer that. Is this going to count as one of your hints?
Well, are you? Oh, okay. Let's say, is this just the Twilight Realm music?
No, it's not. It's not. If you don't get the exact area, you still get 10 points.
Okay.
You already got the game and the series.
My next guess would be the Forest Temple at the beginning of the game.
I don't know if this is the exact Forest Temple, but it's part of, I think, the entry point to the Forest Temple. And that is the Faron Woods.
Ah,
You know,
All right,
like
yeah.
this
I should have gone with my
smoky-
gut. That was my original guess was Forest Temple or Forest Dungeon is what I was probably going to say. But yeah, so
I think it's where you're following that stupid monkey around and he's waving
Yep.
his stick staff.
yes,
I think.
man,
that's
what a
the-
game! I love Twilight Princess, and it's been my favorite Zelda at different times in my life. But it's one of the only Zeldas I find like the farther I get removed from a replay, like it never falls in my ranking. It just kind of like stays up there.
Mm.
It's in the top 5 always.
It really is good. It really is good. I want to replay it and give it the love that it needs.
Did you play the
back
HD
again,
remake?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yeah.
I think that remake was really underrated. It cleaned up a lot of the not so great things about the Wii and GameCube version. And especially
Jeez.
like for me, the big thing that both those things cleaned up was just like every time you picked up a rupee after you had turned the game off, it would like bring up a message. It's like, dude, why are you explaining to me what a blue rupee is again? Do you
We've
think
been
I
here
am
before.
dumb?
We've done
Yeah.
this, all right?
That had
Stop
to-
it.
I thought it was an accident, like a programming mistake, and then they did the same thing in Skyward Sword, and I was like, these guys are mental.
These guys, these developers, who are they?
All right, well, I guess give me 10 for that one.
Yep, 10. You got the game. All right. I'm going to go with Old Gems first. This is what you labeled it.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, no. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what this is.
I think you played this game before.
It's definitely chiptune. All right. I've got nothing.
Okay.
Once again, I've got nothing. All right.
You want me to tell you the genre?
Yeah, what kind of genre is this?
Adventure.
So that's probably a Zelda game. I would hope. I don't even know, man. Give me the console.
NES.
Okay. I was gonna guess NES because it sounded pretty old, like NES Adventure. So it's like Zelda or Zelda 2. First initial is not gonna help me.
First initial is, well,
T.
T, yeah.
So it's The Legend of Zelda something. I'm just gonna say The Legend of Zelda on NES. I have no idea.
That's
and
correct.
I think this is
That is
like
the right
when-
game.
It's the right game.
So you
And
get 10
then-
points.
Well, no. I mean,
Yeah.
I took away all my points by doing the initials.
Five,
so
you get 5 points.
So if most I can get is 5 points, and I have to still try to guess.
And this is an area in the game. That's not really a hint, but I guess
is
it
this like is this the castle?
It's Death Mountain.
Okay. Oh man, I didn't get any of that.
Sorry.
Do I even 2.5?
You get 5. You get 5 points. You get 5 points. Sorry. No, I thought you've played The Legend of Zelda, right?
I have, but
Yeah,
it's been a long time, and
That was
yeah.
cruel. I told you when I was picking. I was like, "Oh, this might be mean." I'm not sure.
no,
That was
that's
hard
good.
mode, bro. Hard mode.
That's not hard mode. It's not hard mode. It's just I'm just learning. I'm picking up all these old chip tunes. I'm figuring it out. I knew it was NES.
Mm-hmm.
That's about all I knew on that one. I was like, don't think
I
I've
think
heard
I
this
may
tune
have
before.
given you my second song once already. I need a list of like everything I've given you. You may have already heard this. Okay.
I had the same concern today, actually. So this is I picked a backup song that I know we haven't selected. So I'm going to drop this one in instead, and we'll play this one really quick. All right, you ready?
Yep.
This one's
Is that all I get?
whoa. That turned off really fast. Sorry.
That's okay. I know this one. Okay, so initial thoughts are Mario Kart select screen or Smash Brothers select screen, but which is it? I'm gonna go Mario Kart select screen, right? Is it Mario Kart select screen?
No, it is not.
Smash Brothers?
It's -5. It is Smash Bros. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. But
And
which
it
one?
is the select screen, so you got it. 15
Okay.
points.
Yeah, but which game?
Oh, which game?
Do I have to tell you which one it is?
I mean, you do need to give me the game.
I'm going to guess Ultimate.
That is incorrect.
That is incorrect. How about Melee?
Oh, no.
64?
Yes.
Oh, man, I suck.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I think technically that song exists in every single one, but it originated in the first one.
Because but I should have gotten it because that sounds very like 64, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If I had just thought about it for a little bit instead of just spewing out answers like an idiot.
You're good. You're good.
All right. Give me 0 for that one.
5. You got 5. That's what it brought you down to. Well done.
All right.
We're not looking good. We're not looking good this round. Okay, nope. I got to get this one. Old Gems 2. Here we go. I'm going to bring the volume up a little bit.
This is such an all-time song. Whether you know
all time.
Do you have no idea?
I know this song, but I don't know the song. I know this song, Landry. I've heard this song.
Yes.
I've heard this exact tune.
It hits.
But I have no idea what it is. Oh.
I'll give you a hint that's not on our, because I feel bad.
Well, hold on. I can get there.
Okay.
It's definitely NES again. Yes, you son of a gun.
I'll never do another NES game after today.
It's okay. Oops, sorry. Oh man.
If it's any consolation, I didn't grow up with the NES either. It's just something that I've played a lot of.
Oh, what is this? Dang it, man. This is so frustrating because I know I've heard this song. All right, what's the genre?
Platformer.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be a freaking platformer?
Because it's the NES, bro.
It sounds a lot like the Shovel Knight soundtrack.
Oh, that's a huge hint.
I know. Is this just... Okay. Give me the first initial.
D.
D?
D.
That is not where I thought this was going to go. Oh, no.
This is a game that I love, and you know that I love. I've talked about it a lot.
This is not Donkey Kong.
No.
Well, that just put me to 0 because I just guessed.
No, that puts you at 5.
I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's DuckTales.
Oh,
the moon theme. And
DuckTales.
Dude, you got to look up like a piano version of that song. It hits so hard.
I've heard it. I've heard it before. I've heard the song. Dude, DuckTales. Ah, Jake. Come on, man. Give me Super Nintendo and beyond, okay? NES, I don't really have an ear for.
That's fair. All right. I got you in the future. Although you dropped the ball in Street Fighter 2.
I did.
Which, that's fair. I mean,
I guessed it.
Yeah, you did. That's right. I forgot.
But it took a second. That was the only one I would have known though out of all the fighters. Dang, man, this was not my week. This was not my month.
I will not do NES ever again. I apologize. It was a last minute thing. I had to get my songs in last minute, and it was like I was looking at the alphabet, and I guess those are the first things that popped up. So.
This wasn't a strong week for either of us, though, really. I mean,
true.
We did not show up today. We did not show up.
We should just call this one a wash. I can't remember how few points I scored.
This one does not
total.
This one does not count. Oh, but hold on. I got one for you. I got one more you can listen to just for fun. This is a little bonus song that I just have downloaded.
Oh, no.
You were.
Dude, why am I only getting like 2 seconds of audio?
It starts and then it stops randomly when I just put it in. It should go now.
I don't think I've ever heard this in my life.
Oh, you have. Just wait. Oh, dang it. It keeps stopping.
Stop the... That's so...
All right. Well, it was Mama Go's Garage from Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, man.
The Rhinoceros Garage.
Yeah, we're about to get like the Jamaican vocals.
When the voices come in, and then you would know. Then you would know.
Yeah, I would know for sure.
Dang it.
Dude,
all right.
What a song.
So good. So good. All right. Well, unfortunately, y'all, that is the end of our podcast. Listeners, what are some of your favorite expressive platformers? And why do you think we see so few of them? Landry, once again, thank you so much for your time. Anything you want to plug or mention before we close out?
No, dude. Just hope everybody has a good month. See you on the other side of the best month of the year.
I like that. Have a good month. See you on the flip. Ask questions. Send emails to bitcast@bitbloggist.com. And until next time, this has been BitCast. Thanks for tuning in to talk about some stuff.